Yeah, it's live.
Are you hooked up?
Remember, they have to bring it through their system, so I sent my documents to Ashley.
We have
Oh,
Otherwise, you can't see it, my stuff.
okay.
gravel on. Yeah. To, direct out.
You. Here.
Well, I'm looking at these plans. I want to get one draw.
Look at plans?
Ideas.
No.
No.
Oh,
By the hour.
yeah.
I think that'd be cool. I'm just not, you know, you almost have to be like,
To get into the systems.
You know,
artsy.
unfortunately, in today's world,
Next week, sometime.
It's just hard.
things have changed so much with the,
We do it with this grader usually. I'll reach out as far as we can.
you don't show everybody's
I'm do.
the nuts and bolts and how to, something's threaded and which way to turn it.
Doesn't this sound like a porn name?
We've looked in.
Five.
Hey there.
Or,
Tell me around there.
that it now peels it up.
I think 21.
That's some old.
No, at my house.
Oh, the wind shifted and went back here, but.
Oh.
I got pictures from the air of that one.
That was, yeah. You know, burning yesterday wouldn't have been an issue.
An idea.
Right, and I got pictures from the air of it.
Do you really?
Yeah, because I was filming with another pilot at Mexican when the pager went off, so I ran there. So what he left,
Oh, send them to me.
I'll send them to you.
Send them.
Yeah.
Sure.
You're aware, you can.
Yeah.
ask Questions when you.
Oh, he was kind of in the doghouse.
We put them in there, you?
No,
Yes, we-
Amanda. She. He
We-
was like,
Area
yeah, it was,
watching.
That's serious stuff.
well, it was, nobody got hurt.
You know where the fire was, Saturday?
He's like, we can get it out, we can get it out. Call the fire department.
I'm missing one of them. I didn't know if there was two stuck in one of them.
Fire was Saturday?
Well, they all look like maybe just.
You have two.
No, that is just one. Okay. It's just been.
This and this.
Yeah, get the moan on the.
Guys who blame. Mark 3.
But then, how it is, it's kind of, the wind switches and
Claims
get a gust.
No.
Whatever reason.
Me.
Well, it was like,
Kids that night. We opened up my heart, the only one I've been.
yeah, burn ban going, you know, you drive by the, you know. Thought I taught him about doing that.
But he was.
Yeah, so
Anyway,
it was,
west of that.
I said, what's it gonna cost you?
Yeah, for a while later.
How was the drive up there? You know, in some places and.
Oh, I was surprised. That's why I was surprised.
Wouldn't have to pay the fire department. That's,
Hit or miss, I drive whether I go through Madison or if I go through Appleton.
but it's.
Oh,
If I would have done the Appleton Oshkosh, then I would have saw it.
well, how do you?
Then the DNR brought.
I go Milwaukee, Madison and up through Dells.
Oh,
Yeah,
$5 mile each
it's a
way.
minute different.
Or plus whatever they're on.
I usually come the other way, but
Claims we
we
did.
had a prior
Be on
meeting
the hook for about $1,000.
on the phone with the Oshkosh and they told me that the roads are all icy. So I said, oh, maybe I'll run the other way. Yeah. Do it yourself.
Thought it was worse. After you read it.
yeah, over by Wausau and that. Gosh, weekend
For
there.
whatever reason. We had talked about a number that we wanted to spend.
I know the last time I went by, Beaver Hill was still loaded with snow. So I don't know.
No.
I don't know if they still are open or not.
He says if we still have 5 years for another project,
Granted, you
we
can,
can get that money.
About it.
And it'll still be there.
Oh, you.
Keep that here.
I don't know how late they stay open.
We were,
Probably as long as they can.
Oh, yeah, no, they'll take every dollar. Yeah, yeah.
we adore.
Word.
Otherwise, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, like last week.
back. You know,
Yeah.
now we gotta get it moving back.
Hey, Phil, we're here, you can see it.
Thoughts on that program are, you know.
I understand now. Yeah, that's what we're asking for.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
With, or no?
What?
Maybe.
Yes, we told you, Vincent, Jeremy Vincent.
Oh, okay, so he's not sworn in, so he's not. He won't be on the next one.
Well, he won't necessarily be on this committee.
Personnel.
We're going to be, no, he hasn't been assigned to anybody. Committee on committees will meet in a week or so, and there'll be some shifting around committees. So it's not going to be, he's not going to fill in for John, no. We're going to be reshuffling some of the committee.
Who's in?
Depends on what.
Jeremy Vincent.
That's John's replacement.
Yeah.
What's going to tell him? He was automatically just.
4:00, call the meeting to order. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Don't move. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes from the March 10th meeting. Is there any additional discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
It's are approved. Okay, so we would like now to have an update from CUNY Architects on the highway project.
Good evening. The first page here is just showing kind of the proposed new layout, which of all the colors you see here is the total master build out. Originally, the light green, which is really the 24,000 square foot piece that we're talking about, was farther south, taking out two buildings that are sign shop and different usage. So kind of picked a spot where, you know what, we, at this phase, wouldn't lose any buildings, so staff could still use as much of those existing buildings as possible.
So sign shop is right here.
Yeah, the sign shop is,
Oh, that's it. Okay.
no, this one, right, Jason?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right here.
You were correct on.
All right, was this one? Okay.
That's the sign shop right there. Oh, okay.
So there's a little office type thing, and then there's storage in the back L shape in here.
Where's the scale? Oh, right there. I see it.
Right?
I see it.
So this footprint really, if you just do the green, doesn't take a single building down. There is a building up in here which is in tough shape. Obviously, if you go forward with any other build, that would come down. So it gives you plenty of room in the future to build the office, the other pieces, to expand to the east, to expand to the west. So it kind of gives you the best laydown area. When we do it in the north-south long direction, you go too far off the property line because the property's not squared off there. So these square footages you're seeing here, I just want to explain it all, are the outer wall square foot. So literally the buildable area of the building. When we get into the floor plan and you see those square footages there, they're inside walls. So I didn't want you to look at the 24,418 and say, well, why doesn't that match? This is the outer piece, which this is what's used to come up with the cost square footage, because it's the buildable area. The other ones are inside walls. So just to give you a little feel for that. So the task that we were tasked with is get the master plan on here, but then also show us what, at that time, we were talking 33,000 square feet, because that's what to get everything in there and using the outer wall dimensions, it's at the 34,500 plus or minus square foot. And when I get to the cost sheets, I'll explain where all that stuff goes. So the first sheet, when you get to it's this one.
Wi-Fi.
So the first sheet is the 24, and I'm just gonna talk in general, there's change that goes, it's the 24,000 square foot. So is the bare minimum build footprint that we talked about.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna look at this cost sheet. The very first cost sheet with the blue on it is this build out. For the build of 24,000 square feet, if you look at the number, don't look at the bottom blue, look at the second last orange. I'll bring that down here. You zoom in. Not a mouse pad person. So this cost sheet is broken out. The very top section of it is just building related costs. So eventually when we go out for bids, that's the line item that'll be in the general contractor's bid when they come out. So it's line item 6 is kind of where the building cost will be. So 6.1 to 6.3 million. Okay. Specialty items are things that, fixtures, furnishings, shelving, things like that, that wouldn't be purchased through the general contractor because the county, we can help build those and it doesn't need to have the contractor's extra cost and bond and all that. We would just help the county secure those fees. The other project costs are professional fees, state plan review fee, gas, electric services, contingency, land costs, which is 0, geotechnical, which are the soil borings before construction, and then geotechnical services during construction. So this is just building the entire project cost, and then builder's risk, which is the insurance during construction, which gets you the subtotal, which gets you in the orange color, which is essentially the 7 million to the almost 2 million high and low. So this plan that we were looking at, the base is at that right about where your budget is. You have the high and the low. I want to backtrack to the 8%. The 8% contingency is because right now we're just in early stages. That number time we go out to construction would probably be 2 to 3%, but then the design is tightened up. So for example, when we do the soil borings, if we find out we got to excavate down 8 foot for footings, that extra cost would come out of there. Does that make sense? So it's the unknown because we're only at a high level of design right now.
That 8% pretty standard or just keeping it at the high end until we really know?
I would think at this level, that 8% is lower than what you typically would see. Some would carry a design contingency and a contingency that would sometimes total 15% at this time. This is such a simple building. We don't need to carry beyond that piece right now. Okay. When we go into construction, when we're done, we'll talk about that. If the county has a standard that we're always looking from 2.5% to 3% to carry into construction. Okay.
Yeah.
Populate that well, but it's still low. While that's loading, I guess we're gonna continue talking.
I'm taking in this next drawing then, and the figures
Yeah,
are for the additional.
correct. So the next one is what kind of we were tasked with. Okay, let's see where we're at with that Exeter build to get all the vehicles in that staff was really looking for the first round that we went through.
Yep.
And if you look at the second cost sheet, everything above the blue is going to be the same from the previous, but then the bottom left, the orange bar is the cost for this additional square footage. So it's a little over 10,000 square feet. And you can see the cost per unit cost went down to 180 to 190 because that existing wall is going to move out. Some of the mechanical systems overlap this, so it's not a straight. Now I can tell you, we've seen that number even be half of that during bid time. So regardless what we decide today, because it is an additional 1.8 to $2 million. I would recommend that the county, we bid it, we design it, we bid it as an alternate and see how low we can get it. Because knowing that, if you look at the yellow, if you would just wait 1 year after this build, that cost is gonna go up to 144,000 to 150,000. So just waiting, you're gonna spend, and that's assuming you could get that number. Usually a small, I'm sorry,
I didn't mean to, but there's still not a wash bay here.
correct. The wash stations are all within the bays. So we can wash anywhere in the green.
Oh, okay, so that's still not gonna be like a separate one.
Correct.
It's like-
Yep.
So two truck share, like they.
They could wash right in the stall that they're parked in.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
I mean, you have like one, like say one hose set up for, that would
Yes.
take care of two trucks.
You got it. Yep, yep. And that hose needs to be there anyways for cleaning the floor, keeping the facility clean. So we literally, the only difference is we ramp up the exhaust system a little bit more to get more of that vapor out of the building. And that would be on a variable speed. So staff knows when they come from a snow event and come in and wash and there's tons of moisture in there, they can go over there and dial that up for, an 8-hour period. And then that would go back down to normal minimum air.
Definitely something to think about.
And then the last sheet is still keeping our eye on that master plans. So when we go to design anything in this next phase, we know where structural bearing walls are, openings are for the master scheme.
So on this master plan, do you have any kind of an idea what it would be to do this as well?
The cost would more than double.
More than double?
Yeah.
So it'd be
So,
over 14?
yeah, so all these colors here are at least 1 1/3 higher cost per square foot than the green. The green is our cheapest footprint.
Okay, so, and these are higher because,
They're more finishes. So office, you can see more walls, more doors, more finishes, different mechanical system.
okay,
The orange is the fleet repair, more lifts, ventilation is different. So it's the closest one to being the same is the yellow, because that's literally just, it's shot.
it's a shot, okay.
And then the wash bay there again, you're going up because it's a different mechanical system and all that.
Did you enlarge on this? Because I know, Justin, didn't we say that arts area was not big enough on this?
The last time we talked, it was a little small.
Yeah, so I mean, would that be taken into consideration?
Yeah, I think I added 6 feet to that area and took it, because if you remember, we had a green section here.
Yeah.
I removed that and slid each wall. I think I did 6 foot here and then the rest I put into the yellow.
Okay, so you did enlarge that area. then.
Yeah, but there again, I didn't go into any detail with staff yet because if we weren't gonna go down the route here. So the thing to note with that though is it like the 2 million for the additional green, say if the other 7, and at 2 million, you're at 100, say $150,000. If this is something that's out 5 years, you get what I'm saying, you'd really want to think about it. Because you probably would save over $500,000 to $750,000 in today's dollars than waiting 5 years. But I understand money's money.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me see if I heard this correctly. So actually then we're looking at 9 million roughly for this with the extension,
Yeah.
and you figure it double to add the rest of this, so probably.
Double to the 7 million, so another 7 million for.
Oh, no, so nine,
Yeah.
so 16?
Yeah.
For the whole thing?
Yeah. In today's, if you did it all at one time.
Yeah.
And
I know what I'm thinking. What do you guys thought?
Well, we gotta figure out if that extra 10,000 square feet is worth close to $2 million at, on the first step.
Actually, no, I want to know what your thoughts are in doing the whole thing at once.
Oh,
Here's my thought. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but here's my thought. We can never seem to come up with a plan that makes anybody happy with the jail. Our administration now has said that there's two genders. I feel as though that's going to cut down on classes, I believe. I also feel that I think we could do a lot of out-of-county housing if it was necessary, way less than 33.5 million. I also believe that when it's all said and done, I don't believe the jail project will come in at 33.5 million. I believe it'll be more closer to 38 possibly. So we have an opportunity here to, I think, rather than try to do two projects and do one half-assed, I think we should take care of this and get her done.
the whole works.
Yes. And then it was suggested to me that the old, what was the old office and shop building there? They have the roof corrected now, right? It's no longer leaking.
One minor repair, but it'll be all right.
A line of will be all right. It suggested to me that possibly this could now house the ambulances. And possibly with some minor remodeling that might be able to actually set up some type of living quarter for the EMS staff in there. And that would take care of also possibly, Annette could go in there with her vehicle. It would be, side storage for that. And there would still be some additional space that would house some other storage as well.
Sheriff's Department.
Possibly the sheriff's department, get them out of
Gates.
Gates. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I would like to, I think, I don't know, I think there's a lot of mixed views about this, and I just, I'm just not sold on the jail, and I think maybe at some point we'd have to look at that, but I think right now, I think it would behoove this county to get one project done and do it right, and be done with it.
What kind of figure again? We did the whole project. No, all at once,
Right near the 16 million.
16.
And I apologize, I have, because I didn't want to something that, but I feel, and I've said from day one, regardless, I'd even be open to try to design the master, design the whole thing in bit, so even the county knows. You know what I mean? Because to me, I've seen so many situations where you've only done part of the green and it just costs so much more down in the future. But I understand money's money and projects are projects. So to me, the advice I could only give you from experience is what you're leading on toward.
Well, that's less than half the jail project.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then we'd be done with that. We wouldn't have to address this again in a few years, say, oh, we gotta add this on, we gotta add this on. This would be a done deal for the highway.
I can see pros and cons to going this way. If you go this way, then the jail has to sit idle for X number of years. Yeah, you can't, because what we could finance in addition to this isn't gonna do anything justice there. You'd be certainly doing a half job at best. But what I think I like the idea of doing one job right rather than two half jobs that we're gonna regret down the road. The other thing that comes to mind is when, correct me if I'm wrong, and you too, Terry, but with the financing that we could do, 16 is an easy number to attain. And say 5 years down the road, we likely would be in a position where we could do a full-scale jail project with the way property values are and tax base and all of that. Where if we were to do a jail project first, 5 years down the road, we couldn't do a highway show because we would have eaten up all of what we could finance on the front end of it.
This is
So-
gonna have a way nicer impact as far as, living people.
Well, I think this is an easier sell with the public for sure.
Absolutely.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah, half the cost. I mean, yeah.
have the cost and people can get behind the highway department more than, I'm not saying they're not behind law enforcement, but folks don't look at the jail as law enforcement. They look at it as prisoners. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the way it's looked at out in the public. You're a pretty quiet man, Terry. What do you think?
I think it's a bold move. I think it kind of ignores some other stuff about the jail. That if they find out that we're not proceeding anything with the jail, that they're gonna shut some things down. And you say, well, house them out of county. Counties don't have to take your prisoners. It's gonna take a lot of money to ship them out, and where if there's no place to go? What do we do? I don't know the answer to that. Like I say, doing one project, getting it done. But I think we've got to look more at what are the costs for the other costs on the jail side. That the state will say, well, you're not moving forward on that, so we're gonna shut down. You'll end up with 18 beds or 12 beds or whatever it was. And if other counties don't take our yes, that costs a lot of money. I mean, it's not cheap to board them out. And then the costs for that just keep going up and up and up and up too. It's going to be, like you'd mentioned, probably won't be 33 million, be more like 38 on that. So I think.
More than that, 5 years from now.
Right. And so I think we would have to look into that more carefully. I mean, try to come up with some definitive numbers. Okay, if we do this, okay, what are the extra costs going to hit us for the jail, for boarding prisoners, for whatever? I don't think the classification stuff and everything really isn't based on female versus male. It's based on types of prisoners. Yeah, but not all.
Right.
It's not all of it.
It-
It's not all of it.
A lot of it is based on, classifications like, well, they're in cahoots with each other. Obviously, they can't be in the same cell. They can't be in the same area, and all stuff like that.
Right.
So the classifications aren't necessarily based on sex, should we put it that way. So I think we would have to take a look at that and see what would happen if we went that way. I think this is a bold move to do it that way, but I think we've got to look at the costs. Okay, are we going to get hit worse? I mean, it's the same thing like, when they're talking about the jail, you know, the $3 million Skyway, how many times have we heard that, you know, over and everything? But, you know, and I was going to do some more calculating anything, but if you've got to hire 2 more full-time police officers, car,
Squad.
you're talking $250,000 or more a year, and those costs are gonna go up every year. Whereas at the end of, well, just say 250, probably, in 10 years, probably, you're gonna have that $3 million Skyway paid off as far as that, but the $250,000 is gonna keep going up every year, gonna keep going. So in the long run, or even in 20 years, you're gonna end up paying a lot more money for, you know, the 2 police officers plus a squad car than you could have if you just built a $3 million Skyway that nobody wants. You look at that and everything, I think the costs are going to be much higher. So I think that's something, you know, to think about also. But again, I think, like I say, I think this is a bold move, but I'm not necessarily against it, but I think we have to look at what are the other costs that we're going to incur with the jail then and all of that stuff.
The other.
I mean, well, it'll be this and this and this. I mean, we got to have some definite or core numbers.
The other thing I think we have to seriously consider is going back to the jail is that I think it's a bunch of bunk that we cannot say eminent domain on the street and build across the street. I think we need to up against the city and say, hey, this is what's going to happen.
What is the final result right now with the city for against the Skyway? I mean, they whirled and waffled on so many things. What is did they come out against it or for the Skyway?
I don't think they came out against it. I think they just said that we would need to work with them in terms of permitting and clearances for our
And the
letters.
structure and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they were more concerned about plow trucks going underneath.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Mhm.
So I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I think what you're proposing is a bold move. I guess I would like to see more. Okay, if we go this way, then what are we going to do? What would the extra cost of the jail be? What would come down? Because the Department of Justice has been, you know, leading us along and overlooking stuff for how many years now? And sooner or later, they're going to say, you're not planning on doing a jail for the next 5-10 years, then we're going to do, you know, I think we got to look at that. Some accurate numbers about boarding out of the county, and boarding out of county is not cheap. And again, that's up to counties. They can refuse to take your prisoners. And then what do? I don't know the answer to that. But if all the counties are honest, no, we're full or we don't want to take those, then what happens?
Well, they've already reduced our bed counts.
Right, down to 52.
Yeah.
Or it was, you know, between 70 and 90. Or
Right.
whatever, up to 100.
So I'm not sure what more, I'm not sure how far they could take that. I guess it would just be a matter of if we waited, like say if we did this and waited 5 years and then looked at doing a jail project, not sure which one, but doing a jail project.
Personally, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Our plan is eventually to take both plans to the full board for approval. Nothing saying one or the other is gonna get approved. And we certainly have a better chance with the county, with the highway shop than the jail, just because of the cost. Can't hardly take them both and expect both of them to pass because that's way too big a bite to chew off. I mean, as a representative in District 4, I'd get strung up, I know that, but from what I've been hearing, but so I think
I would recommend that we take it back to the board as a proposal to do
one or the other.
the other. Just to, yeah.
And what I could give you is, say we build the green. good chance that means you wouldn't do the highway piece for another 5. I can show you what the highway would cost waiting the 5 years. So you have the numbers both ways too.
Project it out.
I'm assuming it sounds like you're gonna do that for the jail, but at least you know what waiting does for both projects.
Yeah, that'd be some useful information.
Okay.
But our county board meeting is tomorrow night.
I mean,
Well,
I
we
can,
won't
Yeah, we're
have it
not, nothing.
April anyway, were we?
Right.
Pardon?
We weren't gonna have it on until April agenda anyway.
Oh, we're not gonna do this right away?
Well,
It's not on the agenda for tomorrow.
no,
Is that, okay.
this last,
I thought it was gonna.
last meeting, we talked about April.
Okay.
And talked about April.
All right.
It's kind of short, just whatever. But I think we should, already plan on at least the screen part out at the highway shop. I mean, yeah, we gotta get full board approval on it, but tentatively. And if we can swing the whole thing and get approval for it,
Well, I think really there's
Make
three
that-
options here. I mean, if we're talking about the whole thing as one option, there's that option, there's the green, there's both of these sections here.
right,
So I think like this, actually, this is option 1.
Yeah.
This would be option 2,
correct.
Yeah,
and then this, the rest of this would be option 3.
right.
So,
And I would recommend either way, option 1 and 2, you bid no matter what.
well, yeah, it only makes sense.
Yeah, and then you could determine that, and then,
Because you have,
before
you've
we-
already shown us here. what-
yeah, before you go out for bids, we'll determine the full. There's no reason bidding the others if it's still, because you know the numbers, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it's, you either want that project the way you've laid it out, or you know what, we're gonna do the dark green as an alternate just to really see if we even get that as a better number.
I would just, to me, it just, I don't know, if we get this and get it done, it would be far less impact on the, our constituents, the taxes, basically half of that cost. And in 5 years, we could look at, doing something for the jail, and we wouldn't necessarily, and you don't know what's gonna, 5 years down the road. Maybe it'll be up, maybe it won't. There's possibilities that this stuff could go down. Our economy could turn around.
Good.
5 years, it would,
Building costs never go down. The increase slows, but it never goes down.
You've been eating too much catnip.
The 3.9 on your bottom of your chart is historically, that's the number for the last 50 years
For buildings.
for building inflation. And these already took in, 2 years ago when everything went up 20%,
Yeah,
that's in the above numbers already.
yeah, and when it's
So,
flat. that's
You can
fine.
always get that major spike, but historically, 3.9 in the building industry is a good reference number.
annually.
Yep, compounded each time, you know what I mean? So, yeah,
Adds up in a hurry.
yeah.
Well, and Ashley, what Baird, Justin, right? He was proposing that you could finance this by, like 30% one year, 30% the next year, or 40% one year, 40% the next year, and then 20% the 30, to spread out the tax impact and everything like that for that, and still not do it, so that you don't want to do 100% the first year.
Right, you'd pay less in interest, but
Right.
that would be very detrimental to your tax base.
Right.
Right.
Gotta keep that in mind.
I guess I'd be interested in knowing then if we did decide to do this as a whole, what the tax impact would be if we did do like the 100%. As opposed to doing 40, 40 and 20, since it's half.
No, that's not, it'd be what the total bond would be. And then
Phase.
40,
phase in.
phase it in.
Right.
So like,
Right.
for instance, both of these projects, I think were 95 cents total. So Justin phased it in after, me and Jamie talked with him. 3 years, that 95 cents hits over 3 years. So are you saying you'd like there to run the numbers where the 95 cents hits in 1 year? Is that what you'd like to see?
No,
I'm
I,
just interested in, yeah, like,
Yes.
instead of like doing it over 3 years,
Yep, yep.
if you did the whole ball of wax.
1 year. Can get that for you.
Yeah, I mean, because it is gonna be half,
no, he wants it just on
Okay.
this.
Just on the $16 million highway project.
Yeah.
Right,
Got it.
that's what he
Yeah.
wants, yeah, not the other. And I don't think that will go 1 year either. I think that's gotta be
I
stayed.
mean, maybe that's optimistic, I don't know.
You just ask.
It would-
Typically,
Yeah,
just
my
because of the
mind
build,
was
you'd
that-
be in 2 calendar years. I don't know if that's what you mean, if
I
it,
guess in my mind,
normally you'd spread this.
Go on the tax roll, it'd be spread over 3 years rather than 100.
Yeah.
bigger dent that we could make on this in 5 years, it would be, it would help when we go to borrow for the jail.
They'd been talking before about doing 2 big projects. It'd be 7 or 8 years down the road before you'd want to.
Right, so Kitsy and Andy had started this half back when they were here, working with Baird to get our mill rate to a point where the county was prepared, because Kitsy and Andy saw on the horizon as well with the facility study that was ordered back in 20 or 21, that this would be coming. And so Baird kind of helped us get to the point where we could do a very large borrowing of between 30 and $45 million. So that's the work that's been put in now for, what is it, 25? So Kitsy and Andy started this probably in 19, 20. So years have gone into the preparation for this to get the tax base ready.
But that assumption was that you wouldn't do another major one until 7 or 8 years.
I think Justin said 8 to 10.
Yeah.
8 to 10.
I thought it was 8 to 10.
If we go with both projects to the tune of like 42, 45
whole-
million,
right.
the whole thing. Yep. That was his ceiling there.
So that would, I mean, if we just go with one, excuse me, and it's like only 16, that should cut that time frame down some, I would think. That we could actually do a second project.
I would think so, yes. Yep, because if you only borrow 16 million, your indebtedness is lower, obviously, and then you're gonna start making progress on that.
But then the new amount you're gonna have to borrow is gonna be higher.
Right.
Well, and
exactly.
Might offset.
That's the other thing. If you remember the building,
It's only for the 7 million, not the 16.
Yeah.
the inflation cost for jail construction is significantly higher than 3.9%.
Mhm.
Just because of the type of the structure that they have to build for.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, whatever you're seeing as a bare bones 32 today is gonna be 50 in 5 years.
And that wasn't totally, I mean, that wasn't really bare bones. I mean, they.
No, but it
part
wasn't,
of it that, that wasn't. So to speak. Didn't actually work out. The best way was the part with transporting the prisoners back,
right.
so.
Mhm. They did make some cuts on it, but
And that would be a costly endeavor in itself,
Mhm.
just doing that, so. I know, I realize, but, and then also you have to think too, I mean, granted the cost of the jail, if we wait for a while, that's gonna go up, but. Like you said, this is gonna go up as well if we wait significantly. Maybe not as much.
But we've got a lot of equipment to be taken care of properly.
Absolutely.
Justin, what do you,
That's kind of.
would you like
Well,
the whole thing done in one caboodle?
Of course you would.
Very
Naturally.
nice Question I will say is, did we do just the 24 or the 34? Either way, we need to keep moving forward instead of this here, there, everywhere across the property. I mean, if that's all the further we go forward, do the whole thing, great. But if we're just gonna do the parking facility, we gotta keep going with it, because otherwise we're in the same boat. We're
Yeah.
Right.
But now let me ask you this, and Justin, too, the additional 10,038 square foot, that is going to take care of your needs?
So yeah, he went off of the numbers we gave him. So if you did just a 24,000 square foot, that
Yeah.
would accommodate 16 plow trucks. He asked for 18. It would do two large trucks. Line truck or. Yeah, it's four. Accommodate everything that was in the master plan.
Mhm.
And then we asked for 9 pickups and it only accommodates 6. Whereas the other one does the 18 plow, trucks, 4 large trucks, 14 pickup.
He was asking you the full build out though.
Oh, right, I'm
The
just.
full build out will give him everything.
Yeah, so that's gonna cover basically what the equipment that you have that you need.
Yep, except for the consideration of the loaders and the graders, but then you've got the patrol shed sitting there, you can park the pad in there. So. This would.
So that would get the majority of your equipment.
Most.
Yeah.
And water trucks and excavators, graders, rollers, it could all be.
Because the space that's vacated with this will open up for the additional stuff that this wasn't designed for. Going to.
Right, and if you guys like you talked about the emergency services going into the existing building. The only thing that would be ideal, I guess, we'll have to play it out and see how it goes, is leaving the back shop. We could separate the building by getting rid of the garage door and putting a wall up there. And then you could either park something in the back shop or back of the garage. That's if this can survive. I think this would cover everything with the already associated building.
Will that other building, they'll take the ambulances and stuff like that, will it also take like the sheriff's cars, the 13 or whatever that they have for evidence and all that stuff?
I would think so. It holds 5 plow trucks, a loader, and a couple pickups right now.
What's the square footage of that building? Just out of curiosity.
So the back where we park our plow trucks now is around 9 to 10,000 square foot. And then you got about the same in the front section. So you're probably 9,000 in the front there too.
And the nice thing with the impound ones, they usually sardine them in there.
Right.
You can maximize your.
Is
square-
that heated?
All he did.
Yeah, that's all.
I think that's a good idea as far as emergency services utilizing an area out there. Yeah, I would get us off the hook where we're going with it now, looking for a place to. So it is a plus there, I guess, if we could utilize that.
Yeah.
One key note where this building's placed right at the moment, it would remove our county shed, which is deteriorating pretty quick. I can make an agreement with the state to share their shed just north of the yellow section there.
Oh, okay.
I have talked to state that we deal with for our region.
What is that?
Oh, that's for the state.
We would remove our county shed where the building's sitting, our county salt.
Right, but that state shed, what's in there?
So,
Oh, okay.
and I talked to him already, we can work an agreement and share it for the time being until either
So that needs to stay there for the time being.
one where the yellow building is, yes, or the yellow section is, that needs to stay there.
Right. Not there. You're talking about that building right there?
That one needs to stay there.
Where there was pointing to.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the county one is underneath. He has set in place there right now.
That's in pretty rough shape.
Yeah, now Eric told me.
That's a,
Seen it.
yeah,
It's not.
that's pretty ragged.
It's,
So that county salt shed was out there. I give him the plans. That patrol shed was built 1974. The county shed was there before that patrol shed. So it's pretty old.
Isn't there also talk of the possibility of a new state shed? Or,
I am trying to work on that. It's gonna be a couple years, but trying to.
right, when they do that Highway 27 project possibly.
Right. I'm trying to work with the state on that and get them some numbers, and it'll be a couple of years before it gets approved, and then it's gotta, be built.
Would that be built here on this campus here or no?
That's where we would put it.
Or replace that one?
Well, our intentions would to be to utilize that for ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then they would have a separate one.
Correct.
Okay.
Whether we utilize it for salt or a higher percentage sand salt mix, because you're only allotted so much percentage if it's out in the environment.
So. Now, just looking at this again, so it kind of looks like we have doors here. Are we gonna be able to access this with that salt building right there?
So
These doors here, if we build it the way you have it?
remember, I mean, I was saying the greens would not require any demo. If you did the others, there would be demo required to those buildings that are placed over the top of and just north of.
So that salt shed has to be moved?
So there's a couple buildings under here.
Right.
that'd be demoed. And then this guy, I would envision being gone if we build a master scheme.
So that's not the salt shed.
That is the salt shed.
That is,
That's not the salt shed.
it's a
But that
state.
what he's referring to is it's in tough shape.
No,
No, that's the state.
No, it's the one underneath that's,
Then we'd have to revamp the entrances to that or look at a different path. Sorry, I thought that would go too.
okay.
Yeah. We would just have to weigh whether the two, what's got a better value.
Mhm.
If you really, function wise, it'd be nice to have doors from the exterior into that shop.
Right.
Would be now.
Well, now this blue area,
You could flip
it's the wash bay.
Yeah.
Go around.
And you said that wasn't, if we did this all, this blue area is a wash bay?
Louis, yes.
So you could, I mean, since every stall here has a wash thing, so this blue area maybe could be, instead of being a wash bay, it could be doors that could lead, into that.
Ideally, long-term, you should have a wash bay where we put an under chassis wash.
Oh.
That is more designed for
Okay,
heavy clean down.
gotcha.
I mean, if you could put it in one area, the better.
Okay.
We were just prolonging building it until timing was right.
Well, and that would be used by the sheriff's department too, or on their vehicles and everything to have some wash stuff too, probably out there too. If
They could filter under carriage wall.
vehicles,
we could make something work that
Yeah.
way.
yeah.
Should be an issue.
The rest of it would be manual in there.
Right.
They usually,
So you have one door on the inside actually of that could get into that area. The shop area.
and I can tell you, we have done,
For example, like say all these trucks here weren't, or whatever, you actually put in like a second door. You could access shop area from the inside as opposed to.
we have done plenty of shops where the door client actually wanted only the ones from the inside. You still park in front of them, but if you need that asset or whatever, you move.
Just move the
Those
truck.
pickups are usually out in the field or whatever. Or you put the vehicle that's associated with that shop in front of the shop.
So that would be an option then.
Is it possible to move that wash bay between the yellow and the orange there? So you can have doors on the end of the,
Knowing that would have to stay, I would slide the whole building to the west. Then the wash bay is west of the salt shed, you know what I mean? You can still get in. We'd look at all the clearances and, you kind of move the yellow directly south of the wash or of the salt shed. So fleet repair could still all get in, wash could get in. So we'd massage that knowing we leave that building.
John, you proposed about holding it by the scale there. If we go with full master plan, we wouldn't need the sign shed there, but there'd still be room for it to fit in there.
Yeah, that's true. So then we could go move it south and a little bit east.
Down a little bit.
Yep.
That way.
Yeah, so
Oh, that way.
it fit directly south of the existing building. We just want
What
to,
is that building then?
This would be the sign shed here. This is the,
I thought that was a sign shed.
oh no.
I misspoke
That's it.
earlier, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
If the whole plan did set in place where the yellow section is, there would be no need for that.
Excuse me. Or is the wash bay normally just like entrance from the outside only? There wouldn't be,
Yeah, ideally, you want to drive in from the outside and then. go
that's what
in.
I mean, but I mean,
Yeah.
When you come
but
in.
I mean, would you, can you, because you don't have a door there right now.
Yeah.
Would you put a door on the inside wall so they could sit wash, they could just pull?
Oh, they are. There's no, it's open, right now, it's,
It shows parking right in front of it.
yeah. Yeah, that, they should be able to drive straight through. That,
Oh, yeah, so that should, be there should be a door there.
yeah, that should be a straight. But thinking about what we're saying, if you're building a home, this whole thing might mirror and the bottom, the red should be in the bottom right. So then doors, so there might be a better layout with the position, knowing what buildings we can take out and keep.
So the reason I, just thinking, so if the building went that, I'm not sure, is that, would that be west?
Yeah.
Move that west just enough so that trucks can get access that on the backside of the salt shed, the
Mhm.
wash bay.
Yeah,
And then they would, like you said, they would have the inside access to get into the shop. But you know what I mean?
that's what
And that
I,
would not restrict the access for this part here where the repair bays are.
Mhm.
I don't believe. I think you'd have to move it that far.
Yeah.
You still have this up, still be open.
Yeah, so look at the structure of the salt shed, see what's all behind the west side of it. You could drive that tight to it.
Or, I don't know, I guess another option would be we could look at possibly moving the salt shed.
Yeah, those things don't move that, usually they come down, they fall, yeah,
They're down.
they're tougher structures to move. Yeah. I think there's other, thinking about it, there's other options that might work better, flipping, mirroring this thing, because sometimes the repair bay doors are better off the south than northwest winds coming in, and so they're thinking about what we're all talking.
Yeah.
This might make more sense, mirroring all the way down. And everything's blocked, northwest winds, even the wash bay door, just, it might give us some better circulation. So I'll work on those, flipping those plans.
Okay.
I'll update the third cost sheet so we know. And then I'll continue, like I said, we kind of halted on the red and we'll continue kind of fine tuning those areas then. And then if we want to meet in 2 weeks and then you guys can get prepped from there for your April meeting,
Okay.
that works. But when is this 2 weeks already in April?
Yeah.
But when is your April?
Well,
board
today's the
meeting?
24th, our
Yeah.
April meeting.
Herman.
To be determined, it'll probably be the 22nd.
Okay, so we're still plenty ahead of that.
Yeah,
So it would be the 9th.
the 14th.
We'd meet on the 7th.
Oh, 2 weeks. Yeah, okay, it's 7th.
And then
Let's see what's on the 7th.
just so,
Shouldn't be anything.
for long-term, I don't mess you guys up. I just noticed the cost sheet is labeled April 24th, just if I took a month away from us.
Oh,
So just,
Well, April's county board is the 22nd, right?
Thinking, but it's scheduled for the 15th, but because of like Mr. Moore and
And me,
and
would not make it.
none of those. Because of municipalities.
Yeah. So our 7th would be plenty of time in front of that, and then hopefully we can, you guys can take your, your decisions and thoughts for the board meeting from there.
Okay. 4 o'clock again, does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Which is 7th at 4 o'clock.
Can we back up on the jail here for a second again?
Yep.
Still haven't decided what we're gonna do with that. I mean, are we gonna go look for, more information on gonna happen if we hold off on that, for sure? And,
I guess we have
we
time.
go to the board, not a lot of time if we're gonna take this to the board in April. I mean, we're gonna take both of them. So, I mean, the jail and the highway project. So the full board knows what our plan is, if we're definitely gonna wait 5 years, for the jail and go with the full blown. I mean, you said you wanted some answers for the jail. I mean,
Yeah.
how are we gonna come up with those?
But I think we'd probably be waiting more than 5 years. Ooh, that's something that's fair about, but
Right, and I have, let me just make sure, Mr. Sheriff, you're okay with this. I want to confirm that this is what you're asking for. So I'm asking Baird to produce tax impacts on 2 different scenarios, a $16 million highway facility phasing in the impact. The second scenario is a $16 million highway facility with no phasing of the impact. The full burden would hit the taxpayers in the first year. Additionally, if the board goes with a $16 million highway facility now, how many years before we'd have a comfortable level of debt to take on a jail project? Is that correct?
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
We,
We'll wait for 2 weeks and,
wait for 2 weeks and
Get some more answers
more
and-
answers and
and
a little better idea.
we'll prepare what we
Proceed.
take to the full board. Right.
It's up to you today. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Right.
Keep this.
Why not?
If you, for somebody else.